And hey, look, everybody, Tom Arnold is here.
Am I on?
You're on.
Can I hear me?
Sir, you can.
Hey, guys.
Hey, you look good, Tom.
Hey, thank you, buddy. I appreciate
You
it,
look
man.
really,
I lost
really
a bunch of weight.
Yeah.
I lost 100 pounds in a year.
100?
Really?
What?
I
In
did.
a year?
I did. Well, in 11 months, really. I had my first child, and
Congratulations,
so
by the way.
I realized I had to, not eat like a jerk anymore.
So what'd you do? Just watch what you ate?
Yeah, I watched what I ate closely. I bread, wheat was a big thing, no sugar, and then just kind of pacing myself and a lot of exercise. Last weekend, I got on a plane. I was at South by Southwest, and I got there, and I looked at my Twitter feed just for fun, and somebody tweeted, Tom Arnold is on my plane. Ugh. And I wrote, yes, Tom Arnold is on your plane. He's also on Twitter, sweetheart. God. And then I retweet that, so that people are commenting about that all over.
Did she have a profile picture? Did you try and
she
find
was
her?
she was like a young lady.
Should have been looking
a young
for her.
kid. Yeah. Well, I would have done that, but if it was a dude, I might have. But I feel like that's enough. People should be able to tweet about whatever they want.
Yeah.
You know,
it was just funny to me.
I remember years ago, I did not like you. I thought,
Yeah.
and it's because I'm a big fan now. I really, I think you're hilarious, and I would begrudgingly you do things like that, like the Jackie Thomas show.
Oh, yeah.
and I would be like, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
And have you encountered that with a lot of people in life?
Sure, because I got famous by being with somebody that was famous, and so people, they're like, that's a really hard thing, especially 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Where the woman is famous, so the guy, you just know that guy's an idiot and he's whatever. And plus, we behaved in such an odd way, public way, that you had to hate, if not both of us, one of us for sure. And so it also, I think, to me too, at the time I worked on the Roseanne show from 88 to 94 when we got divorced, and but coming in there, I said to myself, hey, this is my dream job. I'm a writer on this show and all that other stuff. I don't care what people say.
Right. Yeah.
This is my wife. I'm very proud of her. People say, but a lot of bridges were burned, I think. And then, so when the divorce happened 20 years ago, my ex-wife is a nut, and she called every network head and said, if you ever work with him, I will never work with. I mean, she did that scorched earth, horrible stuff. And there was a 4-month period where I thought, I will never work again. And everybody was saying on TV, this guy's done, he's whatever. And my friends, Jim Cameron and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis said, just wait till True Lies comes out.
Yeah.
It's going to change things, whatever. But I was like, well, I had fun. I came here. I worked at a meat plant for 3 years. I did get fired. They probably won't hire me back, but it's probably I'm probably going to go back there. And then the great thing about stand-up is people, when I first started going back on the road, because I started as a stand-up, there was a 3-minute period where people needed to know that I wasn't a jerk and that I wasn't about just slamming my ex-wives or slamming other people, which I'm not. And slowly but surely, and sort of one person at a time, it has completely changed. And that's just part of it. I'm fine with that.
Well, True Lies was the Tom Arnold turning point for me. That I literally had probably said to somebody, hey, guys, have you seen this movie? Tom Arnold's great in it. He's not the guy that you've seen before.
That movie was interesting because I got cast in that movie, and that Jim Cameron had seen everybody, and I was like the last person, and I didn't think I was going to get that movie. And I thought, well, is there a bartender role or something realistic that I could play?
Right, yeah.
And then he says, while you're here, why don't you read the sides? They're called the scenes. And I hadn't read them because I knew I wasn't going to get it. I just wanted to meet Jim Cameron. I thought I was going to take it. And so I started reading out the paper, and
he's
something
a good guy
happened.
to meet.
He's great. Yeah. And so he said, hold on a second. Let me get Arnold down here. Arnold lived 5 minutes away. He comes in. We start reading together. Jim says, can I film you? Sure. And we're kind of knocking each other out of the way for the camera. It's kind of funny, I guess. Jim goes, okay, that's it. He goes, you've got the role. You cannot tell anyone for 3 weeks. I said, I can't tell anyone? Okay, I went right home. I told everyone. And nobody believed me because it was sort of this big... Why Jim needed 3 weeks is because he went to Fox and said, oh, my God, I found the third guy, finally. And they're like, oh, that's great. Who? And he's like, Tom Arnold. And they're like, no.
Oh.
And they goes, why? And he goes, don't you read the tabloids?
Right.
Don't you? He goes, no. He goes, don't you watch TV? He goes, no. This is the guy. Trust me, for this movie, he's the guy. And they said, well, we can't approve it. And Jim Cameron actually said, that's too bad because I wanted to make the movie at Fox.
Oh. Do you know?
Wow.
Do you know why also?
Wow.
That doesn't happen.
No,
Yeah.
that's huge.
So that movie opened in July. The divorce was in April. That movie opens in July. And people in Hollywood who did not know me before but did not like me I was good in a hit movie, they were like, oh, maybe he's a good guy. Not that they even knew me then, but that's how Hollywood sort of works. And I know with Roseanne, she was freaked out. And she called me and said, we should get back together. I feel a part of this. I feel a part of this. And I honestly said, you know what? Let's go to the therapist because there was a lot of things said that needs to be made right. You said a lot of terrible things about me. And so we went in there, and because I'm always about, even though she'd had this thing with the bodyguard and they were whatever.
I remember it.
Whatever. And I got to say, when I saw her with the bodyguard, I flew to Sardinia to confront them. And I saw them, and I was so relieved. Because in the back of my mind, if she wasn't with somebody, I know me, we would have reconciled. We would have just been more the same. It's one of those marriages where both people knows it's over, but nobody wants to be the bad guy. And so when she came back, and then the therapist sat down and said, listen, Roseanne, you need to make amends for this, or say you're sorry you said this, whatever, tell the truth. And she was like, oh, that's just too much stuff. And then she went home, I think, and had a tattoo removal party, and that I never talked to her for 18 years, which is fine. Which is, my life today is great.
That was a bit of an uphill battle. It was a very contentious thing. That's why it blew my mind during the Roseanne roast, when you came out, and I thought it was done so perfectly and so well. I could tell you were hilarious. A, B, it was you could tell you were nervous. It was heartfelt and genuine, and to me that was clearly the highlight of the roast. How did that come together?
Well, very briefly, what happens is the roast is a Saturday. Tuesday they call, Roseanne wants to talk to you. We haven't talked for 18 years. I said, what is she going to say? Just tell me, because this conversation could go sideways quick. And they said, well, she wants you to dress up like a waiter during the roast and serve her a drink, and then. And I go, that's it?
Yeah.
And I go, yeah. I go, so I'm glad she didn't call, because that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I would have said that to her, because on the Roseanne show, if you notice, I'm not saying I was a big part of the show. It's all her. But what I did was say no a lot. It was somebody that she trusted enough to say no. No, the family doesn't win the lottery. That's not what this family does. No, you don't wrestle Steven Seagal on a trade. We're going to keep this show real, and then whatever. So when I left the show, they win the freaking lottery, and it makes it weird in my mind. In my mind. So no. Then Wednesday they call, okay, come out. By now, everybody's made fun of you, of course. They're going to make fun of you whether you're there or not. You address the people on the dais that made fun of you. You turn to Roseanne. Don't say a word to her. Go over, pound fists with her, and leave. I go, so I don't address Roseanne at the Roseanne roast. Me, Tom Arnold. That's stupid. People will be upset. That is ridiculous. Not doing it. Thursday they call, whatever you want. Whatever you want. So by now I haven't even asked my wife. You cannot do a roast of your ex-wife without asking your wife.
No.
I asked my wife. She says, talk to Stacy, my publicist, who's like my sister for 25 years. Stacy remembers everything that Roseanne ever said about me or did about me or stuff I didn't even know behind my back to try to hurt my career or whatever when she was mad. And she's like over my dead body. So I say, okay, no. Friday, I don't answer the phone, and everybody's going up the chain of command at Comedy Central, and then it comes to the head people at Viacom, who owns Comedy Central and happens to own CMT, where I have shows. My wife comes in, sees me working out, and says, you want to do this, don't you? And I said, well, how would you feel about it? She goes, well, I don't care. I don't think of Tom and Roseanne as real people. That I was so young that it's like a bad reality show. I don't have a connection.
Right.
Like, oh, my God, that's your ex-wife. I think you should do it. Let me talk to Stacy. Stacy says if Roseanne will agree in writing to say one nice thing about me during the roast, that indicates she knew I was coming. Because it's possible she could say, oh, he stormed down here, beat up people, and I didn't want him here, and whatever. And so to protect us, it took 4 hours for her to agree to say one nice thing about me. And by now it's midnight on Friday night, the night before, and we realize, oh my God, there's restraining orders between the two of us. There are penalties. If she says this about me, it's $100,000. If I say this about her, it's $100,000. We have to get those lawyers involved. It takes literally all night to get it sorted out.
Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
And I'd always said, I'm not going to do the roast unless I have time to work on jokes. I'm not just going to show up. Don't ask me last minute.
You wrote your own stuff.
Well, I sat down that Saturday morning like frazzled because I didn't have material, and then I just started writing 18 jokes that were in the back of my mind for 18 years.
Yeah.
And then I said, what I need to do is say one nice thing, because it is about honoring her. And I thought, I was thinking through the marriage, what could I think? What moment? Oh, I better go back farther. So I went back to when we were friends, and she went on Johnny Carson, and I wrote this little thing about, basically that she was my Johnny Carson, and thank you, whatever. And then as I was saying that for my wife and my in-laws on the way out, my wife's from Philly, by the way, as I was saying that, I noticed I got a a little emotional at that moment.
You did, and it was awesome.
I know, but I said to my wife, I'm not going to get emotional on TV. That's stupid.
Right.
But it did happen, and very rarely anything is real on TV or even those roasts or whatever. But that was real, and it happened, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is fine. Get out of here, Tom. You know, it worked out well, and she seemed happy, and we haven't had any too big a problem since.
That's cool.
And you know, I wish her the best.
What's been the biggest shock about fatherhood? What's been the biggest thing that you probably in earlier life swore I'd never be that guy, but you are that guy now?
How much you just love your child. I mean, how much is not about you anymore. I mean, instantly. Yeah. The second, when he was born, I was looking at him, and my whole life, and I don't mean to be a downer.
Yeah.
There's some things that happened to me as a kid, and I've talked about it publicly. And honestly, in the back of my mind, I always thought, well, maybe those things happened because I was a bad kid, or maybe there's something about me.
You were
that
putting
wasn't
it on
good.
yourself.
Yeah. But maybe whatever. But the second I saw him, I realized, oh my God, I was him.
Yeah.
And how could somebody have done those terrible things to?
Now you see it.
It doesn't make sense. But I also had so many positive memories from my childhood where people were extraordinarily kind to me in those moments. And so you also remember a lot of great things.
It's not surprising you've been married 4 times, though. I mean, considering the family history and
right.
parental
I know,
history.
but it took a while. But I think I'm in a really good place.
It seems it.
It does seem like it.
Who here loves Tom Arnold?
I know.
Oh, God.
Come on.
Oh, how could you not?
Well, listen.